Francis slips the flashlight from his side pocket, thumb trembling just enough to make the beam jitter as it cuts through the dark. The light crawls over stone walls, slick with age, then catches on shapes that make his stomach tighten. Iron racks, rusted hooks, things built not just to hurt, but to linger. This isn't a room, it's a memory of suffering preserved in cold stone. The beam drifts farther. Cells. Row after row of them, sealed behind thick iron bars that look like they've never once considered giving way. Inside, at first, he thinks it's just shadows piled in the corners. But then the light steadies, and the truth settles in like rot. Skeletons, dozens of them, slumped, twisted, some reaching toward the bars as if they had died still believing someone might come. A wave of nausea rolls through him, slow and heavy. What kind of place is this? The thought doesn't feel like his own. It feels planted, whispered into him by the walls themselves. He turns, sweeping the light in a wide arc. Stone, bars, darkness, no doors, no stairways, no way out. The realization presses in tight around his chest. Trapped. But that can't be right. Places like this don't just happen. Someone built this. Someone planned it. And people, living people, don't build tombs for themselves without leaving a way back out. There has to be something. A hidden latch, a false wall, a secret passage tucked away where only the desperate would think to look. His mind, grasping for anything familiar, drifts somewhere safer, somewhere brighter. Back to the monastery, back to being a kid when fear came in smaller shapes. They had rules there, strict ones, but there had also been small kindnesses. A television, a Nintendo console tucked away like a secret reward. In one game, he can see it now like it's glowing in the dark. The green-clad hero, the endless corridors, the dungeons filled with traps and riddles. Link moving cautiously through shadowed caves, knowing there was always a way forward if you were clever enough to find it. Francis exhales slowly, the sound too loud in the dead air, because that's what this is, isn't it? A dungeon. And like every dungeon, it's hiding something. The trick is figuring out whether it's a way out or something that's been waiting all along for him to come looking. Francis swept the flashlight beam across the walls again, slower this time, as though patience alone might reveal some hidden switch buried in the ancient stone. The light crawled over slime-dark bricks, rusted chains and iron rings bolted into the walls centuries ago for purposes better left unimagined. He searched for a lever, a crack, a loose stone, anything that might trigger a hidden door. Nothing. The dungeon swallowed hope the way a grave swallowed coffins. A cold heaviness settled into his chest. He lowered himself onto the damp floor, the stone slick beneath him, and pressed trembling hands against his face. Think, damn you. There had to be a way out. Places like this were built with secrets, escape routes, hidden passages for executioners and priests and madmen. But the longer he sat there, the more the silence seemed alive. Then it came, a laugh, loud, sharp, wrong. It exploded through the darkness like shattered glass, bouncing off the walls until it sounded as though a dozen throats were laughing at once. Francis jerked upright, his flashlight beam trembling wildly through the chamber. Then the voice came. "You will die here." The words sounded wet and rotten, like something speaking through a throat full of grave dirt. "You are my prisoner, and I will devour your soul." The laughter returned, deeper now, rising from every corner of the dungeon. Francis swallowed hard and forced the words out. "Who are you?" For a moment there was only darkness. Then, "I have no name. I am what remains." The voice slithered through the room. "I was born from the souls that perished here. Every scream, every death, every ounce of terror fed me. I have watched you from the moment you entered this building, Francis, and now you stand within my realm." The flashlight flickered. "If you die here slowly, thirsty, starving, forgotten, your soul will belong to me as well." Francis tightened his grip on the flashlight until his knuckles burned white. Somewhere beyond the beam, something moved. Not footsteps, not breathing. Shadows shifting against shadows. And deep inside himself, Francis already knew what waited there. The old stories called it the Black Death. Centuries ago, during the plague years, terrified villagers whispered about a dark figure wandering through dying towns beneath moonless skies. A creature with a skull for a face and hollow eyes that glowed like dying coals. It carried a rusted scythe and walked among the corpses, gathering souls like wheat from a field. People believed it served God, a shepherd of the dead, a guide leading souls toward heaven or hell. But the truth, hidden beneath old prayers and burned manuscripts, was far worse. The thing in the darkness came from somewhere deeper, somewhere beneath hell itself. Every soul it consumed made it stronger. Every plague, every famine, every massacre fed its hunger. Human suffering was not tragedy to this creature, it was nourishment. Francis felt sweat trickle down his neck despite the freezing air. His heart hammered so violently he could hear it echoing inside his skull. But he also knew something else. Creatures born from darkness carried pride like a disease. Pride made them careless. Pride made them hungry to be seen. And Francis knew exactly how to lure it from the shadows. The problem was simple. Once the creature stepped into the light, there would be no turning back. Francis reached into the inside pocket of his jacket and wrapped his fingers around the small glass vial marked Eternal Light. Even through the leather, he could feel its warmth pulsing like a second heartbeat. His throat had gone dry. The cave around him breathed with the stink of wet stone, rot, and something older. Something that had been waiting in the dark long before men learned how to pray. He whispered the ancient words. The vial exploded with light, not a candle glow, not the weak yellow shimmer of a lantern. This was a merciless white radiance that flooded the cavern like the wrath of God himself. Darkness fled, screaming into the cracks of the stone. Every jagged wall, every puddle of black water, every ancient bone scattered across the cave floor stood exposed beneath the unbearable brilliance. Every shadow vanished, except one. It stood at the far end of the cavern, tall and unmoving at first, blacker than midnight, blacker than the space between stars. The light bent around it as if reality itself refused to touch the thing. Francis felt his stomach knot when the shape began to change. A skull slowly emerged from the darkness. Not fleshless bone alone, but something alive inside it, its eye sockets burning with a deep, furnace-red glow. Then came the scythe, enormous and rusted, its blade jagged like broken teeth. The creature dragged it once across the stone floor, and the sound shrieked through the cavern like a scream from hell. Father Death, Yetterman, and for sailors whispering prayers in storm-torn seas, the Klabauterman. The names rushed through Francis's mind like funeral bells. The creature moved suddenly. The scythe cut through the air with terrifying speed, fast enough to split a man from shoulder to spine. Francis threw himself forward in a desperate roll. The blade slammed into the rock behind him, sending shards of stone exploding through the cave. One fragment sliced across his cheek. He barely felt it. The thing let out a sound halfway between laughter and a dying animal. Francis scrambled to one knee and tore the consecrated cross from beneath his shirt. The silver burned white in his trembling hand. He thrust it toward the creature. The reaction was instant. The shadow being froze. A violent hiss erupted from beneath its skull face, and the cavern itself seemed to shudder. The red glow in its eyes flickered wildly as Francis began to speak the Latin rites, his voice growing stronger with every sacred word. Ex solvantur animae, captivae. The darkness rippled. Then the first soul escaped. A tiny sphere of pale light drifted from the creature's chest, trembling as if awakening from a nightmare centuries long. Another followed, then another. Soon dozens of ghostly lights poured from the shadow, being in wavering streams, circling through the cavern like fireflies born from the dead. Francis could hear them, not words exactly, but sighs, relief, endless sorrow finally breaking apart. With every soul that escaped, the creature weakened. Its massive form began collapsing inward, its shadows unraveling like smoke in a storm. The scythe slipped from its skeletal grip and shattered against the stone floor. Still, Francis held the cross high. Still, he spoke the ancient words. The creature convulsed one final time, releasing a scream so terrible Francis felt it in his bones, more than heard it with his ears. Then the darkness imploded with a sharp hiss, collapsing into nothingness. Silence fell over the cavern. A deep grinding noise echoed through the dungeon walls. The stones blocking the far passage cracked apart, crumbling into dust as though whatever evil had held them together had finally lost its grip. Francis lowered the cross slowly, breathing hard. The cave no longer felt alive. For the first time since entering that cursed place, he could breathe without tasting death. But Elena was still out there, and somewhere beyond the newly opened passage, the darkness waiting for him was far from over.